New year, new games, some of which are coming far too close to each other to even reasonably manage, especially when there are so many more unannounced games sure to join us in 2023. Of course, how much time I'll have to play with these is another question. Most of the Switch games will probably get more attention because I can at least take it to bed and not have to fight for the PS5. I'm also not going to talk about anything that hasn't said it's probably coming this year because we don't have the time for that. These are the games I'm planning on buying, begging and stealing this year. I'm also mostly looking at what's listed for pre-order at retail, so I'm likely to miss a few. Probably my first new game pickup of the year is One Piece Odyssey, a turn-based One Piece RPG instead of yet another Warriors or fairly similar to Warriors style of game. From what we've seen, the story is doing a weird rehash of events, except that members of the Straw Hat crew and other characters not present then will be. Which is to say, if you're not relatively up to date on One Piece, don't play this and try to make conversation, you'll just confuse everyone. From previews, it seems to have a pretty different system than what I was expecting. Here's hoping Ilka can regain their reputation from Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. The other January release is Fire Emblem Engage. Ignoring that I haven't beaten the Three Houses DLC, or Three Hopes for that matter, this game looks pretty fun even if I am a massive weapon triangle hater. At least I can bring Celica with me. Like a Dragon Ishin is a port or remake of a PS3 and 4 game we never got in English, taking the cast of the formerly known as Yakuza games into the late Edo period, aka samurais have guns now, dealing with the Special Police Force, which is quite a common theme with games set in this era. I'm just super happy we're finally getting this. February is a heavy burden with Atelier Ryza 3 releasing on the same day as the remake of the Wii Kirby game, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. On the Switch, not the Wii. I absolutely adored Atelier Ryza 2, and I'm super looking forward to this next adventure, which I'm hoping will be pretty similar to the last game, as Sophie 2 is a nice break, but I missed swimming, having a mount, and the dungeon exploration system. Whereas for Kirby, I've never played that title. I love playing games in co-op, and everyone getting to be a Kirby instead of arguing which enemy type character to play as, like they did in Star Allies, will make for a much better time. And if you have no taste, you can also pick up Octopath Traveler 2 that day. Project Zero Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, or Fatal Frame if you're American. I haven't beaten Maiden of Blackwater despite having both the original game and a code I got that I was supposed to cover well over a year ago, so I'll have to play this newer one first to see whether my scaredy cat self can handle it, but I am glad that we're getting games not previously available in English. Cereza and the Lost Demon is a full-priced spin-off that gives major indie vibes. Personally to me, it almost seems like a 3D Liar Princess and Blind Prince type game, being a small style game with a focus on using two characters to get through places. We'll just have to see if it's worth it, at least there seems to be action. Also in March is Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star. Enough said. I've already forgotten a game, that is Grim Grimoire Once More, a remaster of the Vanillaware PS2 RTS game, except this time I won't have to pay $200 to get it. More importantly, when are we getting a port of Dragon's Crown to Switch? I actually want to play it through with people. And the rest of their catalogue. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, or Breath of the Wild 2, as I will keep calling it. Shame it's not releasing on the Wii either. I don't have too much to say other than I love the first and I'm looking forward to messing with the game's physics again, especially with all the crazy combos I see on the internet. I didn't go overboard with playing it and might need to get some practice in as I never actually fought a Lionel. Yes, I deliberately went around them even in the castle. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is something I was excited for last year and I just hope that the delay means it's nothing like Gotham Knights, though this is of course by the better team. Assuming they're some of the same people as the mainline Arkham games, because when it comes to saying something from the dev team, people tend to come and go throughout the years. We'll also see whether Street Fighter 6 actually gets me playing a fighting game properly, since I kinda dropped the ball on Guilty Gear Strive, though I still haven't seen some faves, so I don't know who I'll be maining. Also, that cover art is terrible. Final Fantasy XVI, which I may or may not have pre-ordered the collector's edition for, and I'm not sure how I'm going to pay for it just yet. I'm loving what we're seeing of the story so far, plus Yoshi P is somewhat involved and the combat is by a designer from Devil May Cry 5, so you know it's going to be good. And like I said, my experience with the series is basically spin-offs and 14, so I don't really get what some people are mad about. Like, go play 13 or 15 if you want a real Final Fantasy. Or better yet, Dragon Quest if you want a classic series that actually kept to its roots. Baldur's Gate 3 is getting a full release in August, so I'm looking forward to playing that in multiplayer and ignoring my husband for the hot vampire that might accidentally kill me. I'm not super good with this kind of game, and I feel like I might get suckered into trying to experiment with all the different decisions you can make in this game. On to things that don't really have a strict date yet, Rune Factory 3 Special. Well, I still haven't finished 4, and I'm partway through the Square Enix's take on it. I'll still pick it up for sure, even though it doesn't look like they're adding the option to play as a girl. Unlike possibly my most hyped game for this year, being the remake of one of my favourite games, Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. This one called Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life due to some trademark shenanigans. The game that suckered me into life and light farming simulation games. Some of the character design changes had me a bit disappointed, and I'm not too sold on the more colourful art style, but what I'm most excited about is being able to play as a girl. Since back in those days the game would come in 2 different versions for gender, the female one releasing later, and Another Wonderful Life didn't release in the PAL region. It does, however, make me wonder if they'll bother doing a DS remake in the future, since they're being relatively faithful here and not including stuff from that game, given that it's set in the same location technically 100 years later, but the characters are the same, because it might confuse people, and they probably could have taken the time to make a great blend of the two. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, a spiritual successor to the Jet Set Radio series, made by the creators of Lethally Blaze, one of the few games I've given a 9 out of 10 to. Of course, I still have to play my copy of Jet Set Radio Future properly, since I only ever got limited time with it as a kid, but I'm glad to see that we're getting something similar, even if we don't get a dog on skates with 3D glasses this time around. Though I at least know that we will be getting one of the same musicians, because he has worked on Lethally Blaze. Pikmin 4, woo! I really hope this has 2-player co-op like Pikmin 3 Deluxe did, but maybe with a better style of split screen. Either way, obviously I'm excited about the first proper Pikmin game in a long time, and I do wonder what's going to be different, as it seems that they don't really need any more new Pikmin types, since a bunch of them just got shoved only to bonus modes in the last game. Metal Slug Tactics is also a game that, well, never really had a date, but is so far pushed into this year, and well, there's not much to say, other than what pixel art we did see looked pretty good, as it should. I also apparently kickstarted Mina the Hollower, Yacht Club's newest game, so hopefully that does come out by the end of the year, and I'll be able to find myself more than sufficiently challenged. Maybe if we're lucky those Shovel Knight amiibos will give us fairies again. Time to tell me what you're most looking forward to next year, and of those what you think you'll actually finish. Let's just pretend that these are the only games coming out next year, because I don't have time for more. Also, are we ever going to see the Advance Wars remake?